moving kicker. Can you talk about the decision to make a moving kicker, and will you add another kicker?
Yes, Tristan, obviously was with us at the end of last year. So, during the evaluation process, we felt that, it's an opportunity to give Brandon the majority of the reps. But, as far as another kicker competition, yeah, I mean, we're always open to that. It's not a set, but I'm excited about this, our young guy. So I want to make sure he gets the reps.
Why not look at a veteran? I mean, is it a money thing or?
No, that's all part of it. No, I mean those conversations have been going on through since the spring. So I mean it's we're always open for business.
Mike, Todd Archer with ESPN. Schoonmaker is going to come off NFI. What do you anticipate that he'll be able to do here early on?
Well, I think like any of these situations, I mean, ramp up is part of the beginning camp for a reason. So anytime a player comes off of NFI or PUP, so we will put him through the workload capacity of a ramp up. So with that, you'll see him in the individual drills, and so he'll have a detailed worksheet each and every day just to get him back. So he obviously won't be full go.
How far behind is he, and how can he catch up?
Well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's just like anything. Every guy's different. Every guy's injury is different. But he's been in the classroom the whole time, so seems to have a relatively high understanding of what's being asked of him. But I think that the key is let's see if he can apply it and get up at the speed of the game.
Sagi's The Athletic. Mike, kind of bouncing off of Todd's question about the tight end position. Dak has had Witten, then Dalton Schultz. Talk about quarterbacks having these security blankets at tight end. How important is that, and what is the process like with whether it be Luke or Jake or Peyton or whoever else?
Yeah, I think the tight end position, I mean, if you just look at the history of the passing game and, going back to the early days of the West Coast offense, I mean, the tight end throws start right here. So the completion percentage, the connection that, every quarterback has with his tight end. I mean, you look at throughout the history of, just look at our current league and look at some of these quarterback tight end relationships and how productive they are, and the ability to be on the same page because they're tighter windows, but they're also shorter throws, bigger targets, and we really like our group, and I think they all have something to offer.
Does it have to be one guy, or is there a tight end by committee kind of?
Well, I just just look at the youth of our room. I think it's clear on what our approach will be, and it'll be important for really the offense and defense as far as moving forward. I mean, we got some young rooms that guys need to play a lot this preseason. So, in the tight end rooms is one I'm excited to see go play.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. How much did Saturday's kicking efforts influence what you did today?
It's never just a one-day deal. I think clearly, if you were keeping score, I mean, I can see why you asked the question, but this is something of. It's probably more of a product of, how much time and reps you have. It's just, making this decision early, it really speaks to, how much of an opportunity do we have down the stretch here. Because, if we do go back to Clarence's question, if we do go with a veteran, there's a level of experience. He's, our operation is very young right now. So, and that's something that we just want to make sure we're getting the reps and the opportunity to make those guys successful.
Nick Harris, DallasCowboys.com. Jordan Lewis, is he closer since the beginning of camp? Do you expect him back by the end of camp?
Yeah, Jordan is really crushing it in the rehab. But as far as where he is, there's a plan for him. But knowing Jay Lou, he'll push it, and he's doing really, really well. I know Britt feels really good about the progress he's made here the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Do you expect Schoonmaker to play on Saturday?
I'm excited to see him practice today. Okay.
Mike, Dan Hansis around the NFL Network. Hard Knocks is starting up again this week. You were on the show a couple of years ago. Mojo Moment was a thing that kind of took off. I was wondering if that comes back year after year, or you change it, maybe a different Mike Myers vehicle, anything like that?
Well, no, the Mojo Moment's still there. We use it in the padded practices, so we've done it every day since we've been in pads, and there'll be one today. So.
What was the greatest Mojo Moment of camp so far?
Greatest one so far? As the offensive coach, it was the 2-point play. As the head coach, is probably, the last one was pretty good for the defense. So.
Anything else?
Mike, we've asked you a bunch about calling plays again, the excitement level that you have. Were there times in the last 3 years where you kind of bit your tongue at all on the sideline, or would think I wouldn't have done that, or did you ever have those moments?
No, not really. 'Cause you got to remember, I was still involved. I think it's like anything. I mean, as an assistant to the play caller, which is the role you're in, regardless of your title. You know, one guy gets the call on offense. One guy gets called on defense, and then there's a level of responsibility on special teams. Based on how you're designed on game day. So trust me, I know what it's like to be in that seat. No two people never call the game the same. Yeah, so I never felt like that, because a lot of things in play calling is the direction that you go during the course of a game. So and with that, I was comfortable with the way the games were called.
Louis Scruggs, NBC5. Mike, how should we view the offensive line of these practices? Obviously, Zach's not here. The other day you gave Tyron the day off. What we're looking at, what should we be saying?
How would you view them? I would say that the experience that we're getting our guys is great. And the line movement is excessive, which is awesome for us, because we're playing against a defensive front that moves a lot and has all the different combinations, and that's one thing in training camp as an offensive protection you can't get enough of. So the results, I wouldn't, I think you can always get into the results, leaning towards the defense, particularly this time of year, particularly with the second group of offensive linemen. But A would be experience. Unfortunately, we have a lot of different combinations, so that's fortunate for young players. Not probably where you always like to be, a week or two from now set on your starting five. So we're still a ways from that. But I do like the experience that our offensive line unit's getting. That the run blocking is okay. I mean, we're doing a good job. You can see our double teams are starting to get tighter and things like that. We got to be a little better on the backside. So the run blocking's coming. But the pass protection, this is great work for us. And frankly, it's part of the reason why I felt very confident in our training here in Oxnard and didn't have to go. I didn't feel the need to go practice against somebody else, because, our line work is exceptional in my view.
What changes this week in practice as you ramp up to the game? Are you done with installs? I mean, how do you change?
No, we talked about it on Saturday. This will be 7 and 8 today and tomorrow. So, and then we'll shift gears probably Wednesday after we get these two installs cleaned up and repped, and then Wednesday night we'll take an eye towards Jacksonville.
Hey Mike, Patrick Walker, DallasCowboys.com. You've now had Terrance Steele back for several practices and all of the padded practices last week. In your opinion, how does he look in his return? And is there anything that you'd like to see more from him that tells you, hey, he's back to top form?
I think Terrance is right on schedule. Frankly, ahead of schedule. I think for him to come back, off of his surgery, and knock on wood, he hasn't had any setbacks. So he's taken, even a little more than we probably would expect at this point, and that's a real credit to him and Britt and the whole rehab process. So we just got to stay on course with him. But I'd say he's right on time.
Does it make it that much more impressive that he's able to kind of hit top gear, approach top gear right now without Zach to his left?
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think it speaks so much to the man, and I think it's really started the day he arrived here. Watch him in the rookie workouts, running, just moving, and you knew from day one that this guy, was special and had more to him. So I think Terrance is just being Terrance, frankly.
How has Shoddy helped you in this transition going back?
Shoddy, you guys are nicknames buddies. Oh, that's cool. All right, you better not call me no damn nickname. I'm sure you call me worse, but Shoddy's been awesome. I mean, obviously, the personal part of it's just, it's really cool to be at this point in your career, and then to have Shoddy and Jimmy and the family around, so that's been great. But football-wise, I've always had a lot of respect for him, and I think our foundations are very similar. But his opportunities that he had a chance to go off, and all those little things and your assistants bring to the table. But no, he's we're working hand in hand on this thing, and it's been a lot of fun.
relationship? Is he one of those guys that can say, Mike, are you sure you want to do this?
Oh yeah, no, he enjoys it. Yeah, it's, I think it's, I'm probably getting a little payback from the earlier days. I mean, it was a little different environment we worked in, but yeah, no, we have a lot of back and forth, which I love. I think it's so healthy. And it's, the other part of it too. We got a lot of young coaches in that room, and it's important for them to hear those conversations, because every scheme has a history. Every combination block has a history. Every route has a history, and when you have the opportunity as a young coach, like I did in the early '90s, to hear the history and the why of each and every scheme, I think it brings you a clear understanding as a coach to coach better in the gray area. We draw these passes up real nice and clean, and they're unbelievable. They're works of art, and then you get it on video and you coach off of that. But the gray area is where the money's at. When you're playing against Stephon Gilmore, and he knows the splits and so forth, and so what do you do to that, to that release? How does it affect the stem? And so it's all those little things that I think just the fact that we've been in this type of system of thought process of how we install, how we evaluate and correct and so forth. So I hope it carries over to our players, because I do think they feel that level of detail, because history is important.
Scales, Cowboys Radio. Can you update us on Ronald Jones? Is he going to miss some time? Yeah,
Ronald's going to miss some time. He won't practice today, so but we'll see how he moves around to get better idea exactly where he's at. But he will not be available today.
Brad Shamp, Cowboys Radio. Mike, I'm thinking about Tyler Smith when I'm asking this question, but not exclusively.
Mm-hmm.
With what preseason has become, what's your personal gauge for a young player about when you need to see him play in preseason games, and when you say, yeah, no, I can't let him get on the field?
Yeah, I mean, those are tough decisions, but I think you have to look at the whole picture too, and he'll definitely be someone that you talk about. So, I really want to get through Thursday's practice, because I know just from experience, you're never going to have all the facts until after Thursday of you have a better idea who's clearly going to be available for Jacksonville. So, but yeah, those conversations, we had a personnel meeting yesterday, so as a staff, we spoke a little bit about that last night.
Greg Rosenthal, NFL Media. Are you asking Mike McCarthy to do anything different in this version of your offense?
Anything different? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that after that.
Anything different in this version of your offense this year that you haven't asked him in the past?
Well, I think just like anything, as these guys grow in this system, I guess the answer, yes, there's variation of things we've done in the past. So, to answer your question, it would be yes. So, I think going into last year, the idea of trying to move him around was definitely talked about, but he was coming off of a major injury. So, I think you're seeing him do more, and we haven't, we're not even into the game plan focus of it yet, but the ability to play the slot and even go down in the number 3 spot is something that we have in more for for our ex receivers.
Good.
Thank you.